Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme. And on this day, I'm delighted, Tuesday, we have Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Darren Jackson here to talk football. And of course, the other burning issues. Lots to talk about, football issues, but of course overshadowed by the events in Bulgaria. England defeating Bulgaria by 6-0, but the racist chanting from the stands certainly was something that really filled everybody with disgust, and the England players decided to carry on and play the game to the full 90 minutes rather than walk off the park. They knew that there was the possible threat of this, Ruffy, but they took to the field and decided to continue playing despite monkey chants coming from the Bulgarian fans.
Yeah, it's unacceptable in this day and age for things like that to happen. Sanctions are being put in place, but for me, it's all about the people who are doing it that need to be targeted. They're the ones that need to be punished. I don't know how you do it. I know we keep getting told it's difficult to pinpoint individuals who do it, but I think that's who the people we should be trying to concentrate in doing it, and let everybody else run about say this is the punishment. And there were sanctions last night. They've already been caught, and half the stadium was shut, and they're still doing it. So where do you go? How far do you go? You shut the stadium, and then what you're doing is you're punishing the other 15, 20,000 people that are there. Pinpoint the culprits and do something about it. I don't think the police are doing enough in actively hauling them out and letting people see that these are the culprits and this is what's going to happen to them.
Yep, everybody will have an opinion on it. You can give us your thoughts right across all our social media outlets. This is what the FA chairman, Greg Clark, had to say after the game.
What a disappointing night. I mean, it's probably one of the most appalling nights I've seen in football. I spoke with Gareth and Harry before the game when we were still in the Czech Republic. And we discussed how we'd handle it. I sat up in the stands, and as soon as the interval was called by the referee, I went down. And I talked to Gareth at half-time to establish the facts. He said the players heard monkey chanting, reported it to the ref came over, stopped the game, announcement. Then it happened again. The ref said to Gareth, would you want to go off? And Gareth said, no, we're 4 minutes out. Let's get to half-time, let me talk to the players. He talked to the players at half-time, and they got together and said, no, we want to play, we want to finish, we want to win the game, we don't want the racists to win.
Well, the players certainly rammed home the message with a 6-0 victory. Should they have walked off, Alison?
It's very difficult, isn't it? I'm not sure there's a yes or no answer to that. I think in some ways you can see that maybe the best reply is to go out and win the game and win it convincingly and let your football do the talking. On the other hand, I can see why it would make a statement by walking off. You bring something like this to the public discourse, you raise a whole conversation, there's an entire narrative that then it gives rise to around the world, it creates headlines, it encourages people to talk about it, it brings it to the forefront. I think it's a very, very difficult choice that the players had to make, and it almost, I think Gareth Southgate touched on it, but you're in a no-win situation, whatever you decide to do. I think, I also think it's very difficult for the players themselves, for the onus to be in them to make the call. I think it's very difficult because, in essence, you're having to be the person that takes responsibility for the actions of other people. So in some ways, you're paid to do a job, you're there to play football, you can understand why they would want to just see it out and get out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, England manager Gareth Southgate admitted there were big decisions to be made by the players and all the staff.
When I've talked to the players at the end, I think they still feel that they've they've been able to make a statement, but they also naturally, because of they want to be recognised for their football, they were playing so well that they didn't want to leave the pitch at that moment as well. I'm sure that will have been part of their thinking. So I'm incredibly proud of all of the players and all of the staff. I don't think, of course, we could be criticised for not going far enough, but I think we've made a huge statement, and frankly, we were in an impossible situation to get it right to the satisfaction of everybody.
I'm sure some of you will be amazed to hear that it was actually a Bulgarian journalist interrupted Gareth Southgate during his press conference to say that it just wasn't the case. I think a lot of people sometimes bury their head in the sand with regards to this, and for the Bulgarian managers to suggest that he didn't hear it was inexcusable, I think. I think he also added fuel to the fire in this one and incensed so many people with that statement. As far as Tyrone Mings is concerned, Darren Jackson, it should have been all about his debut for England, something he would never have forgotten for all the right reasons, but suddenly him and his family are subjected to this abuse. And he was the first player to actually turn around to an official and say, "Can you hear this?"
Yeah, you saw that in the television. It is heartbreaking. What happened is shocking. But a boy like that who's come through quite a few serious injuries, going on loan to Aston Villa, re-erected his career, signed for Aston Villa, and this should have been the greatest, really, up till now, the greatest day of his life. And everyone's talking about what's happened. His family will be there, and it's a sin because he put in a fantastic performance. And it looked as though they got together as a group, and in the end they were brilliant at England.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Tyrone Mings said with regards to the chance and, of course, the decision from his fellow teammates.
I think it was a lot better, yeah. Obviously disappointing that it happened, but there are protocols in place to deal with these things, and I certainly think it helped tonight. Second half was a lot better, and we took the appropriate steps and the appropriate action. So, yeah, we did all we could. I think the officials did all they could, and at the moment, with those protocols in place, that's all we can do, and that's all they can do.
Well, what happens now is you start to look to the authorities to see what decisions they are going to make, what sanctions they will take, what charges will be brought to the Bulgarian FA, and of course, what charges, if any, to the perpetrators of the racist chants. And of course, let's not forget, there were Nazi salutes from some fans inside the stadium as well. Here's what UEFA had to say on the situation last night. There were times not long ago when the football family thought that the scourge of racism was a distant memory. The last couple of years have taught us that such thinking was, at best, complacent. The rise of nationalism across the continent has fueled some unacceptable behaviour, and some have taken it upon themselves to think that a football crowd is the right place to give voice to their appalling views. As a governing body, I know we are not going to win any popularity contests, but some of the views expressed about UEFA's approach to fighting racism have been a long way off the mark. UEFA, in close cooperation with the FAIR Network, Football Against Racism Europe, instituted the 3-stage protocol for identifying and tackling racist behaviour during games. Well, that's one aspect of it. What I would say is, quite simply, Alison, that as an ambassador of Show Racism the Red Card, I think some people are just guilty of tokenism. I think to meet this negativity, there has to be an overwhelming positivity in the reaction, the education of people, and bringing people to courts to charge them. I think all of those things, it's not just a simple issue if you take certain individuals out of a ground. I think authorities, I think governments have to make strong stances towards people who are guilty of racism, sectarianism, abuse, for any form of prejudice that you can think of that's levelled against an individual.
Absolutely. I think UEFA stands accused of gross hypocrisy on this matter. I think, as we mentioned earlier, that you have people fined when they contravene marketing slogans, when they do anything that might detract from the financial and sponsorship deals that UEFA has. I don't think we've seen anywhere near as extreme sanctions for far more serious behaviour, the likes of which we saw last night. To me, UEFA has to absolutely hammer the nation responsible. That has to be the first thing. They have to be sanctioned through points. They have to be deducted by points. The onus then is on the Bulgarian authorities to identify who is responsible for bringing it into their stadium and ban them. It has to be a lifetime ban. They have to act hard on the internally, but UEFA have to sanction them first and force their hand to do so. If it continues after that, they have to have a draconian approach to it. What you have to say is, you miss the next tournament, you're not invited to participate, you're not invited to participate through qualifiers, and you certainly won't be invited to it. If this continues again, the sanction increases, you'll miss the next tournament. You have to hit people where it hurts, and that's where it is.
Well, dare I say that, before I get Ruffy and Darren's take on this, and it is a thorny issue, if that is the strong stance you're taking with countries, is that strict liability something that should also be adopted with clubs?
I think so. I can see the reason why people would argue against it. I can see the whole argument that says you are penalising an entire group of supporters for the actions of a minority, but I also think it's the only way to deal with it. I think if we're talking about the issues that we have in Scotland, we're talking about sectarianism. That's the issue that we see week in, week out. We have lived with it forevermore. If we've been discussing societal issues within Scottish sport, we have spoken about sectarianism. If you want to address it, I think strict liability is probably the only way to do it. And I can see the pitfalls in it. I can see the tarring everyone with the same brush. I can see why you look at music concerts and you think there are far more arrests at Tea in the Park or whatever was on this summer at Glasgow Green. You see the Transmit, you see the kind of crowd misbehaviour, and when you contrast that with football events, I think the percentages would be far smaller. However, I do think it's one of the few options that you have if you want to address it.
Well, I'll address that one little issue and we'll move on to other football issues as well. But the reason why there are smaller figures with regards to the football is quite simply, I don't think the authorities do enough to make a concerted effort to actually go and increase the numbers by arresting people who are guilty of sectarian behaviour. I don't think there's a desire in this country, and certainly as we can see across many countries, I don't think there's a desire or an acceptance that there is a wrong there. I think society is allowing people to get away with it, and if there was a real desire, police would go in and arrest them.
I think it's very difficult. I think that's in essence, it's a philosophy. I can see where the argument is. When you're at a football ground and you see it, what you really have is a steward who's on minimum wage, and you have a crowd, a throng of people. For one guy to go in and pull out one or two, I think is almost impossible. I don't think it's a plausible answer, which I think is why the clubs have to be made to answer for it.
See a category A game where you know, like Bulgaria last night, a category A game where you know there is going to be a whole section of people indulging in sectarian abuse or singing of that certain nature. You stop the game, you arrest the people you can, and you say to them, if you continue, the game's over. You will then see it stop.
No, Peter, we're talking about what happened last night. It's happening all the time. It's happening quite a lot. But last night, it's reported that the Bulgarian players told the English players they knew it was going to happen. You said that at the start of the game, the programme, that they knew it was going to happen. So the authorities and the security and the police must know as well. And they know the section where it's coming from. As soon as the game starts, you see the section with the black hoods on. You go in there, you know where the shouts are coming from. There was no security around there. No one was pulled out. It looked as though it was going to be the demonstrations first half, and then we'll all leave for the second half.
You can give us your thoughts on it. It is a subject that, we all need to address on a daily basis, rather than a 2-week window for show races and the red card, which incidentally is one of the most poorly funded organisations in Scotland. That should tell you exactly how much desire there is to try and ram this home and educate people on the ills of society. So you can give us your thoughts on that. To the football, we love to talk about football and certainly the positives on the field of play. If there is a sadness in one of the statements coming out today, it's from Robert Snodgrass, decided to retire from international football, 32 years of age. Robert Snodgrass has said, "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to live my childhood dream. There have been many highs throughout my international career, which I'll always remember with fondness, including my debut against Northern Ireland and my hat-trick in Malta. It's now the right time for me to step aside, though, and retire from international duty and let the boys and younger players take my place and hopefully push the squad forward. I want to especially thank the Tartan Army for the special support you've showed me over the years. I will never forget this. I will now watch as a fan and hope to see us play at a major tournament again soon. Fingers crossed the boys do it in March." Is he calling time too early, Ruffy?
You're asking the wrong person than me. I'd have put a Scotland jersey on if I was 40 years of age.
Yeah.
You know, but players have moved on now. Club football seems to be much, much bigger than what it was when I played. Obviously, the financial rewards are there. If it's an injury he's protecting, don't have a problem with it at all. But, you know, every player, every individual has their own ideas and what they want to do. It wouldn't have been me. Given the chance, as I said, I would have played as long as possible. But it's his decision and we have to accept it. I saw a guy last night, Cristiano Ronaldo, he's 34. He's still playing international football and loving every minute of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, as Ruffy mentioned there, he would have played right up until his 40, which again, from your own point of view, Darren, is quite an early age to retire. You would have played till possibly 55, 60, I'm sure, if Scotland had kept on calling you.
Yeah, without a doubt, but the door was really slammed shut in my face. So I had no choice. But yeah, Snoddy's been a fantastic player for Scotland and at club level as well. And again, Ruffy's right. If it's down to injuries, I understand the likes of Scott Brown, Paul Scholes did it, Alan Shearer did it. The injuries were taking too much. When they had time off, they could recover. And if Snoddy's, but again, I still feel he's got a chance in March. He wants to go to a tournament. He's got a chance in March that he could play a part in that.
It's targets as well. I know you have targets at club level. At international level, you have targets as well. I mean, remind me how many camps he's got. Do you know? 28. 28. There's targets. There's 50 targets. There's medals. There's things that go along with it. Is your name in history. And, you know, they don't seem to have that. I want to get that. I want my name up there for the rest of my life. I want people to see my name up there. They just want to play club football.
How many caps have you got, Dan? 28. Ruffy, how often do you take your 50 medal out and polish it?
No, it's sitting in prime position in the cabinet with the other medal I've got.
Yeah.
The two.
Yeah. Well, listen. That's what I'm going to say. It's two more than Alison and myself as far as football is concerned.
Can I just ask Dan, did you get a silver medal?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Just 5 marathons for me. You done any? Alison, now I'm going to give you the chance to get, just to completely fall out with me. Ronaldo, 700th goal. Ruffy mentioned him. He's 34. It's absolutely incredible, isn't it?
It's phenomenal. I think what you have to do is just applaud the fact that right now you're seeing two exquisite talents on the stage simultaneously. Between Messi and Ronaldo, you have two players who have graced football with a quality and an elegance and a grace that I think we should all just sit back and applaud and enjoy for while you have it, because they're both now enter into the twilight years. I think you just have to appreciate what you've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Two magnificent players. It's amazing. We've been discussing one major topic, and rightly so. Don't worry, we haven't forgot about the quiz. I mean, Dan's only been here about 5 weeks and he's getting excited about getting one quiz question right. I mean, get a grip of yourself. Ruffy was with me 5 years and didn't have a clue to any quiz question. Anyway, on that point, I might as well finish with it. Are you a Ronaldo or a Messi, Ruffy?
Messi. I think I'm a Messi.
Yeah.
I think there's a rhetoric around Ronaldo that makes people gravitate to Messi because there's this idea that Ronaldo is arrogant. I don't know how much of that is truth and how much is perception, and I don't know how much of it is fair.
Yeah, that's lovely. Who are you? Are you a Messi or a Ronaldo?
Messi.
Darren?
I'm a Messi, yes.
Well, I must admit, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I think Pele's the greatest player of all time, but I would say that I'm not clouded by he dives or he's a poser or whatever, the arrogance of him. I think Ronaldo deserves tremendous credit because he is... I was a Messi, and I'm now looking at him and I'm thinking, this boy has worked hard at the undoubted skill he has, but he's taken it to another level. I think I'm swaying towards him, Ruffy. I think he's magnificent.
Yeah, I would just love to see a game that he gets a tap in, for 2 yards or something like that, instead of bending something.
It's just the desire to play every game, Peter.
Yeah.
People pull out with injuries and that. The two of them, Messi had an injury, I think, 2 weeks ago, but they're never injured. They want to play every single game, every minute, every game.
You're absolutely right. Listen, the debate rages on. You can cut across all our social media, Twitter, Facebook Live, of course, Facebook and YouTube. Give us your thoughts. Who's your favourite? Messi, Ronaldo? Are you a Pele, Maradona? Where does Ronaldo fit in the top 10 list of the greatest players of all time? Is he in your top 10? I wonder. Anyway, it's all a good debate in the pub, and we would go to the pub, but sadly, Alison, now wearing a tweed jacket, is barred from the pubs that Ruffy and myself go to, so we won't be going to a pub tonight, but we'll still continue the argument. You can give us your thoughts. Thanks to Alison, thanks to Darren Jackson, and to Alan Ruff. Join us tomorrow on the programme. Tam McManus will be with Barry Ferguson, Ruffy and myself. Thank you for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.